what's up, guys? I'm here with Sam and Hannah. They are both experts in property and also have a legal background. And there's been some massive changes recently in the market, in the property market, particularly in Wales. And we're going to be talking about those changes because they are huge. So if you are a property investor and you have any properties in Wales, you need to watch this video till the end. Also, if you're considering ever buying properties in Wales, as I say, they're massively changing the rules. So I'm joined with Sam and also Hannah. So did you want to introduce yourselves briefly? I mean, Sam, we've known each other for many years, but it'd be great to get a little bit of an idea about who you are, and then we can delve into some of these new changes that are coming in.
Absolutely, yes. Obviously, the changes are pretty massive for landlords. And so thanks for the opportunity of sharing it with you today, Samuel. I'm Sam Hawking, property lawyer. Got a law firm, Sam Hawking Property Lawyers in South Wales. And obviously we do a lot of work for property investors. We do all the different types of deal structures that investors would normally do. So we're heavily engaged with investors, and obviously I'm concerned about some landlords that sort of bury their head in the sand with the changes, and keen to make sure that people fully understand what they need to do and make it as simple for people to comply as it can be. I've got a large portfolio myself and a property developer, and I'm very busy and as guilty as the next man burying their head in the sand initially, and obviously need to get back together, which is what I've been doing more recently. And
You're the guy,
came across Hannah.
You're the guy I call, man, when there's a change or something's happening. I'm thinking, what's this? Or if it's something to do with compliance. Obviously, you've got a background in law, conveyancer. You've done a lot of work for us as well over the years. You're the guy I call. It's great to see that you've partnered with Hannah, and also you've got a new initiative as well, which we'll talk about later. Hannah, what's your background and what is it that you do?
Yeah, hi. So thank you again for having me on. My name's Hannah Carton. I've been in property for over 20 years. I set up my own agency when I was 26, and got into property just a little bit before then. Being obviously a landlord myself and developed properties, and I've done short lets. I've had a short let company, sold that company, and but my main passion has always been to help landlords, and our values are really strong around compliance. Anyone who's in Wales, Swansea especially, will know that McCartan Lettings is a best practice agency, and I take a lot of pride in making sure that every T is crossed and their I is dotted. We're all about making sure that we're protecting our landlord clients through obviously excellent service, but compliance, because it's the most costly mistake that you can make is getting something wrong. So the other side of things is that I am a consultant trainer for Rent Smart Wales. So and just to give everyone a bit of background, here in Wales all landlords have to be registered, and if you do any type of letting activity such as managing the property yourself, you will need to have a license, and in order to have a license you have to have full training. So knowing that these laws were coming in, I mean, it's called the Renting Homes Act 2016, so that just gives you some idea of how long it's taken to come into fruition. I started helping landlords by actually going to Rent Smart Wales and helping landlords by training them. So I'm a trainer, I'm a landlord, I'm an investor, I'm here to really just spread the word about what the changes are and how we can help landlords even further.
And I know very well about Rent Smart because I had to do that test and get that license just to own one house in Wales. So I mean, if you're a landlord in Wales, it's not difficult to get a license. I think it cost me around £100. But anyone that's familiar with the Welsh market will know that. But the massive change that's coming in, it very short notice was given as well. Could you talk about what that is? Because I was astonished when Sam called me and told me what was happening. I was quite shocked. So would you guys be able to explain what it is and how it's going to affect landlords in Wales?
Sure. So there are a couple of fundamental changes. So just again to give a little bit of a background, that the contracts have changed. So before we're all used to having Assured Shorthold Tenancy agreements, ASTs, contracts. They're now called occupational contracts. So in the first breath, you kind of need to understand that the format of the new occupational contracts are standardised. So that's one of the things that the Welsh Government wanted to do, was make renting easier by creating these standardised occupational contracts. So by that I mean, like, all of the clauses are there available for anyone to download for free. But this is the model contract that's online. And there are some clauses that you can't change. They're called fundamental clauses. And then there are supplementary clauses that you can change. And you can't just delete them, you need to edit them in a specific way. And I'm not going to go into I mean, we're literally just scratching the surface. I have to give you a little bit of background to understand what the problem is. And it's called an occupational contract and written statement. And the written statement element are the clauses. So I'm just kind of explaining this in like the most basic of terms. There is a requirement. So the law changed on the 1st of December last year, and all active tenancies at that time on the 1st of December automatically transferred into an occupational contract. And we were wonderfully sort of thinking, well, it's an automatic transition, we don't have to do anything. That is what everyone is kind of saying. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything right now, but there will be a requirement for you to give a written statement within a 6-month period. Now that ends on the 1st of June. And we were like, well, what is this written statement that we have to then provide? And it's transpired when reading through all of the guidance notes. So it's, you know, a link to view the guidance and then another link in the guidance for how to do it. And what they're saying is that this written statement needs to be in the format of the new occupational contracts. So you've got your fundamental and your supplementary clauses, but it needs to be a true reflection of what the Assured Shorthold Tenancy agreement was as of the 1st of December. So that's in history now. You can't change what was on that day, the terms in your contract. So the guidance just says, oh, just go through every clause in your AST and decide, is this a compatible clause with a fundamental or a supplementary clause? And you go through all the fundamentals and all the supplementaries and you match them to your AST. And the penalty for not issuing, and the word I find most concerning is the word incomplete. So to not provide a complete statement, the compensation to the tenants is 2 months' rent. Is the value of 2 months' rent. So we're thinking, oh, that's a costly mistake. So that's the biggest change with contracts is that they're now occupational contracts, and we have this very, very imminent deadline of the 1st of June to get these written statements issued. The second part that's also very important to understand is about property standards. So that there are 3 key parts that need to be met. The first, which happened again on the 1st of December, is carbon monoxide alarms have to be in every room that has a fuel burning appliance. That's mandatory. If you don't have that already, the property is not fit for human habitation. The second one is then that smoke alarms have to be installed, and they have to be mains powered and interlinked, and you need to have a satisfactory electrical safety certificate, an EICR, but they are to be done by the 1st of December this year. So we've got all of these different dates going on in this transition period. But the most concerning and the most thing right now is that we've got 33 days left to make sure that all of our current tenants, if they were in the property on the 1st of December last year, that we issue this written statement.
And this is only Wales.
This is
So
only.
if you're in England or Scotland or Ireland, this is crazy. So, I mean, it sounds complicated. I mean, I understand a lot about property. I'd like to think I'm a reasonably switched on guy, but it sounds a bit complicated. And also 2 months rent, that's a lot, because if the rent's £1,000, your profit might only be 200 quid. So if you have to pay the tenant 2 months rent, that could effectively be like a year's profit, thereabouts.
Yeah.
So, okay, so if you're a landlord in Wales now, then what do you actually need to do? Do you need to change the contract? Do you just need, what do you actually have to do?
Well, again, there's a lot of confusion about what to do. So I've had so many landlords come to me and say, should I just issue a new contract? Well, you can, but that's not meeting the requirements, because issuing a new contract is a now and a future thing. You need to issue a written statement for the past. So, and then yeah, and some people say, well, shall I just put them into another sort of fixed contract, or just give them like a written statement, like a statement that's written saying your contract has changed to an occupational contract. It is literally the requirement is to give like a 34 or 42 page document, the model written statement, as amended to your AST to your tenants. So
why have they done this? What's the actual reason behind changing? So, and do AST contracts, are they going to no longer exist then in Wales?
They don't exist. It's already done. They've gone. As of the 1st of December, they all gone. They've all gone. Yeah, and they are now occupational contracts. So the written statement is the legal way of completing the conversion. So there's a bit of law, don't quote me what it is, that has enabled the Welsh Government to do this, and it is now for landlords to complete the conversion by telling the tenants you're in a new occupational contract, but the terms of your occupation, i.e. the written statement, are identical, because you can't go back in history and change the terms, because nobody had any information about it at the time, you see, because it's in the past.
Sam, why are they doing this?
Why are they doing it? They're doing it, I think, because the government of Wales seem to have a bee in their bonnet about best practice and being better than England, and sort of being the
England don't want
groundbreaking.
this rule, and they'll never.
I know that, but we got so many examples of this. 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, sprinklers in all new homes, even if there's a door out of each room to the outside of a bungalow, you still got to put sprinklers in every room. The Welsh Government does have this sort of bee in their bonnet to do this, but there are a lot of good things at the same time that will come out of this. It's not all bad. I think the transition is going to be difficult, as any change is difficult to adopt. But once it's settled in, it's not all bad. There's more paperwork involved for landlords. There's more compliance. There's a better paper trail needed of what's what. There's more safety checks that are required. But that's not all totally bad. In the grand scheme of things, it's providing better accommodation, in theory, to tenants. And there are some really good nuggets for landlords. For instance, I've had a tenant for quite some time with really bad antisocial issues, and it's been difficult to get him out. But since his contract changed, I was able to serve him with notice and apply to court immediately, because there's no notice period for serious antisocial problem tenants. There's a short notice period, depending on the amount of arrears, for rent arrears. But if you want to get a tenant out just because you want to get a tenant out, then the situation is much better for tenants. You have to give them a 6 months notice rather than the traditional 2 months notice that Section 21 would have enabled you to do. And you can't give the notice to quit within the first 6 months. So in effect, even if you're giving 6 month tenancy agreements or 6 month occupational contracts now in Wales, because you can't give them a notice in the fixed period, and then the notice that you do give is a 6 month notice, there's a minimum term, if you like, of 12 months, so long as the tenant is keeping their side of the bargain.
Yeah. How does it work with evicting tenants with these new contracts then? I mean, you mentioned about antisocial. tenants can be evicted very easily. But what will be the if they don't pay rent, for example?
I wouldn't say it's very easy, because you've still got to prepare a comprehensive court application, and you've still got to go through the court application to get an order for possession. And if they don't move out, you've still got to get possession. But it's quicker than what it was previously, which is a positive thing.
Yeah.
And so again, the amount of arrears depends on the notice periods, so that can get a little more complex. But then there are other benefits as well. Like, I've had issues with tenants just leaving, and previously under the law, you'd still be required to go to court to get an order for possession before you can change the locks. Now, lots of landlords would simply change the locks and keep their fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't comment if I've done that. But the Welsh law now says that you can put notice, you can serve notice on the property, wait for the 28-day period, the 4-week period, and then change the locks. And so again, that's a very positive step forward. And again, I've had that situation myself several times, and I've always been reluctant, because obviously with in my professional capacity, I wouldn't want to do something which was contrary to the law.
Yeah.
It'd be professionally embarrassing if I was caught out. So again, this is important.
So there's pros and cons then. But
there's pros and cons.
And it's just a case of, if you're investing in Wales, or certainly if you live in Wales and your whole portfolio is in Wales, it's just something that a new system that you need to learn.
Yes.
Yeah. And a universal written statement, what actually is that exactly? What does that mean?
So again, to people who are watching this who might know me, and I'm quite an outspoken person in a very polite way, but I wasn't particularly happy with having to do this for, over 170 landlords and properties that we manage, and my own as well, because all ASTs are different. So we might have some tenants who started with us 8 years ago, and our contracts back then were slightly different to the updates. Every year we get our contracts updated, and then you've got some landlords who use an AST from WH Smith's, or an agent set up for them. Every AST is slightly different.
Yeah.
So it's just one massive headache. So I started sort of putting my concerns out quite strongly, and behind the scenes, the company who I use, Training for Professionals, who supply us as an agent and supply agents all over the UK. So they're not just Welsh, but they do all other English contracts and letters and notices, etc. They were working tirelessly behind the scenes. I think it was about 10 days straight, and 3 of them working on it, to create a document that was a written statement that would work universally on any Assured Shorthold Tenancy agreement that converted on the 1st of December. So when they called me to say, have I got any use for this? I said, oh my God, yes. If I can help every single landlord in Wales with this universal written statement, then I think my purpose in life has been completed. Because life is too short to be trawling through clauses of ASTs when we've got 3 bank holidays coming up in May. There are better things to be doing with our time than trawling through these documents. So and it just sort of came into play just at the right time, where I'd also been writing some courses to be able to explain to landlords about the written statements, but also about all of the other changes in just a really easy, simple to understand way, which, if I'm jumping the gun, it's just kind of the right time to say it, which is how the landlord community was born. It just all came together sort of middle of February, and the light bulb just went off, and we're like, wow, we actually have something really valuable here to help landlords navigate through all of this. So that's what the universal one is the one that has been amended professionally.
Do you need more than one? Like if you've got 10 properties, do you need one universal statement, or do you have to have 10?
You have to have 10 different ones because the rents are going to be different, for instance. And each universal written statement is going to correspond with each AST. So it's on every property or every tenancy that you have. And as Sam pointed out the other day, that you might have a HMO that has 6 individual ASTs in there. So that's 6 written statements that you need to do. So it is a very time-consuming thing in that regard. So whereas we estimated it to be at least 8 hours, if not longer, for a landlord to complete this on their own. I tested it just yesterday. Actually, a landlord came in saying, I don't think this is right. I don't think I've got this wrong. I said, it's going to take you 15 seconds. You write the rent in there, you attach your AST, and it's done. That is your legal compliance box ticked.
Sam, how will this affect short stay lets? Is that totally separate, presumably? If you've got
that's separate, yes. So the short stay lets are not someone's own or principal main dwelling. So this is about principal main dwelling.
Sure. And when you reached out to me and told me maybe about a month ago about the landlord community and what you're wanting to do and help landlords with their compliance, specifically in Wales, with these new changes and other stuff, I mean, what exactly is the landlord community going to be doing? Is it just specifically this topic, or is it compliance in general, or and who's involved?
So it's Hannah and I. It's Hannah's baby, if you like. And when I got to know about what Hannah was doing, I wanted to get involved. I wanted to help her to reach the masses of landlords in Wales, because it's a really important thing. Hannah developed, obviously in her position as a trainer for Rent Smart Wales, she could see that the training, although it's very comprehensive, it still leaves people scratching their head thinking, what exactly do I need to do? Yeah. And so Hannah already put together these training programs, and you know, she was hoping to help as many as she could, but a handful of landlords with this training and sort of hand holding. And I think I managed to persuade her to make the training free. So all the training that she's done, we're giving out for free.
That's great.
And the only cost then is the cost of the actual universal written statement. And with the universal written statement comes a very simple guide on how to complete it. As Hannah mentioned, you know, if she's there with people that she knows and has got the other information to hand, it can be seconds. It should only take them 10 minutes if they're doing it.
And it will save you a lot of time, presumably, having a universal written statement.
Oh no, loads of time. But not only that, you know, if you're a landlord with 5 properties and you've had tenancy agreements from different places, or you've had them from the same place, but you've had them at different times, as Hannah mentioned, her agency ASTs would get updated every year. Yeah. So if you've had different tenancies at different times, even if they're from the same place, they're going to be different. Yeah. You're going to have to go through each tenancy agreement and work out what the written statement needs to be. Whereas by getting one from the landlord community, you've got one written statement that you just adjust for each tenancy that you've got. So you buy it once and you use it however many times you need to use it.
How much is it to get a statement?
£97 plus that.
And the training that you offer, does that with Rent Smart CPD points? Do you get any points for doing the training that you offer, or?
That's a really good question. I'll answer this one if that's right. We don't at the moment, but it is absolutely on our radar that our training will do. But there's a really valid reason why it doesn't. Anyone who's done the top up CPD, Continual Professional Development course that Rent Smart Wales has issued, and actually again for landlords who have an active license, it is a legal requirement for your license to have done the CPD by the 28th of February. I know there's still hundreds and thousands of landlords still going through this process. That one-day course or online course, depending on which one you do, is only worth 5 CPD points. So that is, when I run the training, that's from 9 a.m. until 3:30 in the afternoon with half an hour lunch, and we are slideshow, constantly going on. These are all the things that you need to know about the new legislation. It is so in-depth and so overwhelming, and so much, valid stuff that you need to know is only worth 5 CPD points. Now, if we put that into the context of the course that you do for universal credit, which my tenancy manager said took her about half an hour, that's 30 CPD points, or 10 or 30 something. So it is, there isn't the balance. So because my videos are between sort of 5 and 20 minutes long, and I'm really taking it down to, I'm just talking to, my mum, somebody who just needs to know what they need to do today. We will deal with the more complex issues and go through different examples in our later courses, and we will do how to set up a tenancy compliantly from scratch and go into detail. But this is just really kind of basic stuff. So we've been in touch with Anne Rowlands, who's the head of all the training and compliance at Rent Smart Wales. Had a fabulous conversation with her. She's really supportive and positive about what we're doing because it supports her at the end of the day in her role. But CPD points on this particular course, no, it is purely to support the learning and training that you've already had with NRLA or Rent Smart Wales for your license. This is now kind of a helping quiet hand in the background saying it's okay, we've got you. And it feeds into our landlord community or the landlord Facebook, the landlord community Facebook group. So you could do the videos and, then go into the group and say, hey, I've just done this course too. Can you just confirm something else? It's like a safe place to have conversations, then open conversations about, I don't understand what a D1 or the difference between D1 and a D2 smoke alarm is.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me again? Yeah, great. Let's get on a Facebook Live. Let's tell everyone in the community what it's about. Let's talk like we would to our mum, to explain to our mum what she needs to do. You see, so
yeah, it's really important, and that's why I wanted to do this interview, because I teach a lot of people, as you know, how to get into property, and we don't have loads of Welsh investors, but we do have some, or some investors that might be considering investing in Wales. And it's important to have people around that you can ask questions to and be supported by, and also be aware of the changes and the regulations that are in place and are coming in place. I mean, we've been speaking for a little while now, so I guess my closing question would be, if there was one takeaway that landlords watching this right now, you'd want to leave them with, what would that be?
Yeah, I guess mine would be, don't bury your head in the sand. It's too costly. Not only, if you bury your head in the sand, not only is there a 2-month rent penalty about to hit you, but tenants can stop paying rent if the property is not compliant, is not fit for human habitation. And that could just be, you haven't got a smoke alarm. It doesn't mean that it's not nice and shiny and looks like a nice place to live. You haven't got the certificate that you need, means it's not fit for human habitation now under the Welsh law. So don't bury your head in the sand.
Yeah,
I guess that's the takeaway.
Yeah.
And I'm all about action points. So my takeaway would be jump online onto Facebook and search the landlord community group and join us in there. And also follow our page for regular updates. I know there's an update that's just happened yesterday, so we're just hitting that this evening and to update everyone. So my my takeaway would be jump online and join us on the Facebook group.
That's great. Well, I'll put a link as well in the description to the Facebook group, the landlord community. Hannah, Sam, thank you so much for sharing, and it's been really informative, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Samuel. Thanks very much all.
Cheers. Bye now.
Bye.